Hello and welcome to Immigration and Jobs Talk Show. I'm Sam, your host, and before moving ahead, let me read out this very important disclaimer. By watching our videos, you agree and understand that the information provided by our experts and attorneys, including comments and replies from users, is not legal advice. So, use of information is at your own risk. All right, once again, welcome back to today's very exciting live show. And today we are diving into one of the most crucial topics for anyone who is navigating the immigration journey. And today our topic is exploited or empowered. What's the truth behind H-1B workers and companies? Well, guys, this topic is really exciting for so many people because today, most of the people they don't know whether they are being exploited or whether they are being empowered. And what's the reality behind H-1B workers and companies? So today we are going to uncover this topic with someone who has seen both sides of the story. So help me in joining us for the very first time on Immigration and Jobs Talk Show is attorney Ira Katz, a highly experienced immigration lawyer for over 15 years and who has also worked extensively with so many H-1B cases. So Ira, welcome to Immigration and Jobs Talk Show and it's a pleasure having you. How are you?
Hi, thank you very much. I appreciate your having me here.
So, Ira, I would like to know that what's the vibe in the US? Are people celebrating Trump's winning or are they like having mixed feelings?
Well, it's 50-50, just like the country itself. There are there are a lot of people that are in mourning
Oh,
on
God.
one side,
Right.
literally, and a lot of people that are ecstatic over this. It's really who you talk to, and it's just a very wide selection of opinions about him.
It will be. It will be. So, Ira, what can you say like by seeing the current situation in US, what can be the future for H-1B workers look like in the upcoming years under Trump's administration?
I think immediately, I don't think there's going to be any impact particularly over the next year, possibly 2 years. I think they're going to be distracted with quote unquote illegal immigration and his promise to deport millions of people. I think that's going to be their priority to start with. As far as H-1B is concerned, I don't think we're unfortunately going to see a rise in the cap of workers. I think it's going to stay steady where it is right now. What I do see is that they're trying to implement rules so that companies can't cheat. The issues that they've been having with companies using multiple registrations for a single worker really got out of hand over the last couple of years. And they are trying to implement rules that will limit that are very specific to the individual worker themselves. So that hopefully will work so that everyone has an equal chance. Unfortunately, with that, the cap is not going to rise, I don't think. And I think we are just going to end up sort of in stasis for the next year or two. What I do see, however, is that they're going to crack down on the rules in place, meaning they are going to make sure that people have the means to support themselves. They're going to make sure that the labor condition applications are strictly scrutinized, and they're going to make sure that salaries are going to actually be paid, meaning probably more site visits and more audits.
All right. So, Ira, as you mentioned that I think before H-1B process it will more focus on the immigration part. So, do you think, Ira, that as Trump says that he's going to deport millions of illegal immigrants out of America? Is this possible logically, practically? Do you think it will happen?
I think there's going to be a lot of bluster about it. I think they'll do a few test cases They'll, show a couple of busloads for the media. There'll be a lot of court challenges to his ability to do it. Um, I'm not sure he's going to be able to do it. There's also going to be the fact that he's going to need funds to do it. He's going to have to go to a Congress, which I don't know whether it's going to be Democrat or Republican. The Senate definitely is Republican. We're not so sure right now about the House. If the House turns Democrat, he doesn't have the funds to do it. I don't know where he would get the funds to do it, other than cannibalize other government agencies, which in and of itself, we would end up back in the courts because that would actually be illegal. So, saying something and doing something are two different things.
Right. Maybe it is also for like a kind of a strategy to scare illegal immigrants so that they automatically leave. Because I also heard this news that a few of the legal immigrants, they are requesting so many immigration attorneys that please do this visa process as soon as possible, so them themselves are leaving the country without taking any action from Trump's side. So this can also
I
be a reason, right?
Yeah, that is true. There's an element of that going on. A lot of people are, he's scared a lot of people. Both DACA recipients, illegal, quote unquote, illegal immigrants, and legal immigrants. I have a lot of clients that are checking their immigrant status right now to make sure they want to make sure that they are 100% covered, that they have no issues. I have companies that are calling me that are asking to make sure that they're compliant, their I-9s are compliant, their visas are compliant. They are. He has. There's a collective chill that has gone through the country, basically.
All right. So, guys, we are also live on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, and X as well. So, join us from any of these platforms. And Ira is here with us for an hour. So, please have a good opportunity and ask as many questions as possible from Ira. He's definitely going to answer. So, Ira, coming back to our topic. So, there are people who already are H-1B workers or trying to be one. So, and also they are not very much aware about the truth behind the H-1B program, whether they are being empowered with the opportunities or they are unknowingly stepping into a situation where they might be exploited. So my question to you is that is the H-1B program really attracting the best and brightest talent, or are companies just using it to underpay some skilled workers? What's the balance between talent attraction and exploitation?
That's a really good question, and it's a mixed bag because on the one hand, you have really serious companies who need the talent and do recruit properly and do pay proper wages and don't try to get around labor condition certification and things like that. And you find this mostly in the realm of high tech areas, artificial intelligence, developers. Um, on the other hand, and also in terms of the medical professions, nursing, skilled medical technicians, areas of that nature. On the other hand, you have third party recruiters who are being used by unscrupulous companies here in the United States to essentially recruit scores of IT people. And the companies themselves have no interest in the individual workers. They need bodies, okay? And they don't really care how they get the bodies. And they have budgets, and they basically tell the third party recruiters, okay, this is your budget. We don't care how you get to that goal. And that makes for a lot of sort of problems with how they use the workers, how they treat the workers, and how they pay the workers. And we see this constantly. Um, We have a policy in our office, for example, we will not work, okay, with certain recruiters. I won't mention any names, but they're well known already, okay, and they bring in tens of thousands of cases. And I wish the rest of the bar, frankly, would adopt the same policy because we know they're exploiting the workers. Okay. On the other hand, you have excellent companies here in the United States. Um, I have a particular company that I've been working with now for, I guess, 12 years. Okay. Constant flow of workers. They recruit them. They recruit excellent talent. Um, the long term, we've even had people. I mean, unfortunately, the wait times in India are ridiculous for green cards. But we're finally seeing the first green cards. They sponsored their workers for green cards. They want them to stay, and they want them to stay long term. So it's really a mixed bag.
Wow. I think that's so much our audiences are getting to know, and I am really happy to know that you actually are uncovering these facts, because people out there, they are just in the American dream. They just want to have this H-1B visa anyhow, but they ignore all these facts. So I think it's very important for them also to learn. So guys, please feel free to ask any questions from attorney Ira Katz. And all right, Ira. So as you were talking about the wages. So my next question to you is that H-1B workers are also supposed to be paid fair wages that match those of U.S. workers in the same designation. So, but there are also cases where employers pay H-1B workers significantly less. So, is the wage structure for H-1B workers fair, or are companies taking some advantage of foreign workers to reduce cost? Should there be stricter regulations on salary parity between H-1B and US employees?
I think it's more in enforcement rather than because the levels themselves that are promulgated are actually are good. I mean, I'm in constant touch with people, for example, in high tech industries. Some of the people that do hiring, HR hiring in Silicon Valley, and there is parity. If you're paying your worker what's supposed to be paid based on the Department of Labor, you're getting paid what's being paid, for example, in Silicon Valley for a comparable job in a comparable geographic area. The
Yeah.
problem is not that. The problem is that, for example, someone will come to an employer and say, yes, I want the worker, but I don't want to pay the worker for 10 years worth of experience. Let's have his resume reflect 2 years worth of experience. Okay. So this is how they manipulate the system. Okay, so instead of paying, for argument's sake, if the wage was $125,000 on a level four, okay, they would end up recruiting the worker and paying the worker on a level one, which would be $75,000. And this is how they exploit the system. So what you really need is more enforcement. We need more audits, and we need Department of Labor to basically scrutinize companies really on a yearly basis to be able to and fine them. Okay, basically to put the onus of this on the companies, and unfortunately, there's actually a case that's now winding its way through the courts where a third party, a recruiter, was used, okay, and the worker, who happens to be from India, is going to end up paying the price for it. So there's an appeal going on because they're accusing him of fraud, the worker, okay, whereas the company itself committed the fraud. Okay,
Right.
the worker had absolutely no idea, was totally innocent in the process. And that's really the burden that has to be shifted. The onus has to be on the companies now, to be honest about everything, to be upfront about everything, and to be checked and audited about everything.
Right. So, Ira, as you were mentioning that people, I mean, sorry, the companies, they only, I mean, initiate in these fraudulent activities. So, Ira, what can you say that is there some kind of that the company should face penalties for creating such a wage gap, or is this a fair reflection of a competitive market?
No, I think the company should face penalties if they're found to not meet the Department of Labor standards for pay levels and pay equity for different workers, and there's discrimination in payment to H-1B workers. They absolutely should face penalties for that because they know better.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Ira, I would also like to add one more question that can an H-1B worker lose their job at any time? And if yes, then why?
Yes, unfortunately, they can. Um, most workers in the United States are at-will workers, and which means that they can be dismissed at any time, except unless it's for an illegal, for something illegal. For example, discrimination based on race, based on gender, based on some sort of handicap or something of that nature. But other than that, workers can be dismissed at any time. And that's really a peril for H-1B workers because basically H-1B workers have 60 days then to basically find another job or leave the country. And that's a terrible position to be in. You've come here, you've made your life here, you've gotten a job here, and all of a sudden, the company just decides you're disposable, basically, and that is bad. Which is why I encourage the workers. It doesn't protect you completely, but to try to have an employment contract, okay, really before you get to the United States. At least in that way, you understand that there's some sort of protection, there's some sort of a warning, there's a possibility of having a payout at the end, or a possibility of having help from HR find you another job, but otherwise you're really subject to the whims of the employer.
All right. So, Ira, all right. So H-1B workers, they need to find out the job within 60 days. So, what about those workers? Like if an H-1B worker is doing great at their job, then is there also possibility that they can still be forced to leave the US?
Yes.
Oh,
Unfortunately, yes. Same thing holds. It's really it's a question of the way the labor market works here, and that's for any worker. It's whether it's a U.S. worker or an H-1B worker. Most workers in the United States are at will, unless you have an employment contract that gives the specific details of your employment.
but I know what can you say that why does this happen? Because if an employer is working well, then why he can get to face these types of situations? I mean, what's the reason behind it?
It's really the way the market is set up here. I mean, we are a capitalist society, and the balance of power, really, structurally between the employers and the employees is on the employer's side. Um, the good thing that right now, because of the way the market is, and the fact that the employment rate is very low, and particularly in sciences and technology, employees have a little advantage in that it's become a little more difficult to recruit employees now. So that if I'm an employer and I've put in the time, the effort, and the money to recruit an H-1B employee, um, and the employee is a good employee, I'm generally not going to fire someone on a whim
Yeah.
because it's going to be very difficult to replace right now.
Exactly. And it's not only difficult for the employer, but also for the company as well, because they are also losing a good asset, right? And I think
Yes.
employers, they only make a good company. So I think this is something very unfortunate, and this is something I think people should know, that it's not only about that you are working well, then only you will be, get the permanent residency in US. That is also the other case. You should also learn the other side of the coin, that even if you're working and even if you're doing a great job, then also you can be forced to leave the US.
Yeah, unfortunately, yes. Unfortunately, yes. And one of the big problems here is, from particular countries, and India being one of the countries, the time now that it takes to get a green card is just so long and so prohibitive
Yeah.
in most categories that that's another thing that sort of the employer has over your head, that because of that he can really push you out on a whim if he really wants to. Okay, but again, the market is right now so tight for employment that it really doesn't make sense for the average employer, particularly in high tech and in sciences and technology, to recruit, to bring someone over, and to employ someone, to put the time and effort to train. Okay, and then basically just on a whim to fire someone. It's not a usual thing these days.
Yeah, right. So, Ira, as like you mentioned about companies that they are firing. So, I want to know that why do then companies prefer hiring H-1B workers over US workers? Because if they are, if the H-1B workers, foreign workers, if they are going to have so many problems and still there is no guarantee to it, then why do they prefer to hire H-1B workers? It's better now to just keep on working with the US workers themselves. What are the ethical implications of this decision?
That's a really interesting question. I think a lot there are two sides to that coin. One is um, you have a couple of things that are going on in the United States labor market. Okay, one is that workers are changing jobs day to day. There is no loyalty, particularly in tech right now.
So, like US
So
workers, they are also not being in the company. That's also not
no,
guaranteed.
no, U.S. workers are spending an average of a year and a half at their jobs, tech workers, until they move on. Okay, and so what they're finding is, item one is that the workers, H-1B workers, tend to be more loyal to the company.
Yeah,
One, they're kind of in a position where they have to be. Okay, but also in general, even where they have the opportunity to change jobs, we find that it's very unusual. Once they're in with the company and they like the company and so on, they tend to be very loyal workers, because there seems to be a very different mindset from other countries around the world,
yeah,
where something has very much changed in our labor market. Again, particularly in the tech world, there is absolutely no loyalty today in by U.S. workers. That's one. The second element of it is, frankly, H-1B workers. The work ethic is higher than U.S. workers. They tend to put in longer hours. They tend to work harder. They tend to be. I get this from a lot of my clients. They're just and that's why they come back and they say, there are jobs that I don't want American workers doing, which is You know, you sit there and you say, okay. And then the third thing, again, in very specific areas of tech, the training is actually better, we find, from certain countries in areas. It seems that in math, physics, workers from certain parts of Europe, from India, and from Israel are just better at their jobs than U.S. workers, and this reflects in tech hiring.
Wow, it's so eye-opening. But I mean, I would say that it's really also unfortunate, right? Because people, I mean, employers in US, the H-1B workers, they are more loyal, right, than the US workers themselves. So it is something that actually, I would say it's a real reality behind, the H-1B workers and the companies. I think, Ira, you are doing great, and I hope that employers and the companies, they are getting to know so much from this episode. So thank you so much, Ira, for your answering all the questions in a very detailed way. So, Ira, I would also like to add one more question that, nowadays most of the companies are relying so much on the remote work. So, my question to you is that with the growing trend of remote work, do you think that I mean, the company will rely on H-1B workers in the same way as they were, or they will start hiring talent directly from other countries? How might this change the future of the H-1B visa program?
I see it already because we see already there is a lot of hiring going on in, for example, the marketing sphere
Mhm.
that's starting to take place from the Philippines, and that is really wage based.
Yeah.
People are looking for lower wages, and these are hired through third parties, so they don't have to go through Department of Labor standards or anything. So they're being paid by companies in other countries. Okay. And so this is depressing wages worldwide, actually, as a result of that. Now, are American companies going to start doing this? Probably yes, because it's going to infect every sphere. Um, the question is it going to make it into tech, high tech, to the extent that it'll affect the H-1B program? Probably.
Yeah.
Because we see more American American employers are getting used to the fact that their workers are working remotely right now. So if they're working remotely from other states, I think it's just a matter of time before they'll probably figure out a way to be comfortable with the fact that they have workers working remotely all over the world. So yeah, I think it's coming. I think it will affect the program, but given the fact that for the lottery, you have 85,000 places, a 25,000 gap cap. Um, Given the fact that last year we had, I think it was 240,000 applications for 85,000 places, it's sort of at the margins. So even if it cuts it down by a third, you're still going to have all the applications, and you're still going to have people clamoring for the jobs. And on the other hand, on the employer side, the good companies are not going to want to do this. Okay, you're not going to see this happen from Apple. You're not going to see this happen from HP. You're not going to see this happen from Nvidia. Companies like that won't take chances like that because they actually invest in their employees. Okay, so they will not go to a model that will affect the quality of work. Okay, they're clamoring for the cap to be widened. They want um, more, foreign workers. They want better talent. They're constantly screaming that they can't get enough workers. We don't have enough tech workers here in the United States. We just don't.
But Ira, I would like to interrupt one thing that, according to our sources, on August 27, we got to know that there were 15,000 employees who got laid off from Google.
Yeah.
So, yeah, what is your take on that?
Uh, I think it's just a shift in emphasis. Google is going through sort of they're moving to AI, and I think that move to AI just naturally cut jobs as they were building. It's sort of where we lay off from one end, and we put into to the other side. I'll give you an example. For a while, the hottest thing here was trying to recruit full stack developers. Okay, in computers. Okay, and it was impossible to get full stack developers. I had people calling me and trying to see if I had connections overseas, if I had companies just were losing their minds. And we came to a full stop recently. Okay, no one cared anymore. It's like um, no, our emphasis is now shifted. We want to find AI developers. Okay, and that's what you go through. You go through these sort of shifts, and the manifestation of that. I'm sorry for the long-winded answer. Manifestation of that were the huge layoffs at Google. So I think we will kick back and see a lot of different types of jobs and positions coming back, but coming back in a different way. Coming back, for example, now it'll be through AI development.
Wow, that's great. All right, Ira, thank you so much for your answers. And I'm really enjoying this show, and I am really so much in flow. And I think our audience are also. And with that, we have got so many viewers right now. So let me just greet them: Kiran, Vishnu, Monali Thakur, and Indu too. So, hi guys, and hi Mohit also. Please watch our show till the end, and we are definitely going to take your questions. So, Ira, should we take one question from our viewers? What can you say?
Sure, my pleasure.
All right, great. So, let's take up this question from Indu. So, Indu is asking that as few got selected after lottery, there is delay in the process. When can we expect for 2025 H-1B process?
That's a good question, and they haven't really promulgated the time schedule yet, so it's really hard to tell. It's going to be dribs and drabs as it usually is. And once you get the selection notice, you're on the selection notice itself. You have the window, and when you have to have the petition filed by. Um, there there's not much more I can give you than that.
Mhm. Okay, all right. So I think Indu, we you need to wait for some time to get this answer, and I think Ira will some on the other. Maybe in the next show, we are definitely going to take this up. Thank you so much for your participation, and Mohit is also responding. Thank you so much, Mohit, for your response. We are definitely going to take up. And Kiran is here with a question, Ira, that how do the psychological effects of job insecurity and fear of deportation among H-1B workers influence their productivity and overall well being? And there's a continuation. What longitudinal studies could be designed to quantify these impacts in comparison to US workers in similar roles?
It's a really good question.
Right.
Yeah, no, it's a really good question. Somebody had actually started a study at Northwestern University. I don't know if they followed through with it. I know anecdotally, okay, from my clients and from conferences that I've attended. Um, it really does, and speaking also to HR management, it does have a real effect psychologically. When you know all of a sudden you're getting to your sixth year, and unfortunately you can't get a green card. You know you can't extend anymore. Your life is in the United States. You know you have social relationships in the United States, and you have to scramble to figure out something else, what to do. You know, in many instances, for example, I have two clients right now, okay, who unfortunately finished their 6 years with the H-1B. They can't get a green card. We were trying to fit them to get O visas, but they just didn't qualify for O visas. So they went back to school. So they're in OPT right now, advanced training. Okay, they don't want to be back in school, but they want to stay in the United States. So this has it does have a detrimental effect psychologically, and for also for the employer. Remember, there is so much time being spent in concentrating on your visa, and that takes away a lot of time from your work, a lot of time concentrating on your work, a lot of time, and you know the employers understand it generally that you have to focus on this, but it doesn't make for a smooth you know transition, even in leaving the United States. In other words, if the best idea really would be, if you had the ability to extend, number one, the H-1B, based on need of the employer and the fact that you could prove that you have the center of life in the United States, okay? And I understand they don't want to give you a green card, okay, for anything, but then at least give the worker the chance to be able to resettle. Meaning, okay, we understand your 6 years is up. You have no opportunity to stay in the United States for any one reason. Fine. So you have another year to be able to figure out what you're going to do. But the 60-day window is ridiculous. You can't really, okay, because it's not really a 60-day window, because in year five already, okay, or even at the end of year four, my clients are wondering what they're going to do to extend. So they're taking time away, from work, and taking time away from their lives, and this is really bothering them, and it does have a detrimental psychological impact.
I think this is something very important. Not only we should talk legally, but we should also shed our lights on how the psychological impacts it will happen.
Yeah,
And I think this is thank you so much, Kiran, also for taking that up. I mean, it's a very good question, and uh, just keep on posting these questions also, so that not only you, not only us, but also so many people out there should get to know about what's the reality behind H-1B workers and companies. So I think we are going great, and lot of topics we have already discussed. So Ira, right now, I think I should. Ask some more questions from the FB groups, because there also we get a few questions from FB. So I think we should take that up.
sure.
And yeah, this is the question, Ira, that I would like to ask. That while filing DS 160 for my parents, should I write who will sponsor as me or my parent? Am I on H-1B at US and they will be visiting first time? Also, they are
That's
from. Um, any problem from my side? Ira, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. I'm sorry, I didn't see the question.
Right now, can you see my question?
Not entirely. It's kind of cut off. I'm just
Okay, okay, no worries. Let me share it again. Wait, I think there
okay.
might be some, yeah, technical issues. Mm, yeah, just let me know. Is it, I mean, can you see now?
No, I'm sorry, I can't. If you would
Uh,
read it out to me,
yeah,
I'd
sure.
be more.
Sure, sure, no worries. Let me read it out. So it is that while filing DS 160 for my parents, should I write who will sponsor as me or my parent? I am on H-1B at US and they will be visiting first time. Also, they are from Kolkata, anyways, to get both BAC and consular job in Kolkata. Yeah.
Oh, she's talking about her parents
Yeah.
visiting. So the DS 160 is for her parents on a B visa, I assume. Um,
Mm-hmm. Ira, can you hear us? I think we have lost Ira somewhere. No worries. I think Ira will be back. But all right, guys. So let me first of all let me say hi to all our audience who have joined us right now. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us. And till the time Ira will come back, we are also going to take a short break. So keep on posting as many questions as possible. Let's keep on going this great conversation again. And thank you so much. We'll be right back just within a minute. So keep on watching Immigration and Jobs Talk Show. Hi guys, and welcome back to Immigration and Jobs Talk Show. But unfortunately, right now we are having some kind of technical issue from Ira's side, as he lost some connection. So I don't think that from now, I mean, on today, we are going to continue this show because of some technical issues. Oh, all right, Ira is back. How is
Yeah,
that possible?
I apologize.
No, no,
We
no. It's so great. I was just saying that to our audience that we are going to connect later on, and suddenly you pop up. How that is that possible? I mean, you lost the connection, right? And there was some big problem as well.
we lost power in my building. I'm actually on my iPhone right now.
Oh my God, that's really grateful to us, by even losing the connection, you're back with the show. All right, Ira, but we know that you are on your phone, so we won't take much time. But definitely, we are going to just add few more questions, and then we are going to have another episode also with our viewers. What say?
Sure, sounds good.
All right. So, Ira, let's back to our questions. As I was talking about that, there were so many people who were, facing these kinds of struggles and hurdles of H-1B workers. So, I would like to know that what strategy should they have or option they can explore to stay in the country and secure their future in the US.
That's 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 tough. First of all, the one strategy, even though right now, unfortunately, getting a green card is very difficult.
Yeah.
If you win the H-1B lottery and you get an H-1B and you enter the country on an H-1B, um, my advice always is to start the green card process literally from day one once you enter the United States. Now, you'll be, hopefully you'll be approved, but unfortunately, you're going to have to wait and wait and wait and wait. But will that improve? It might. We've had periods of time where unfortunately people have had to wait 10 or 12 years, and then it's accelerated to the priority dates being 1 or 2 years. So it really pays because you really don't know what's going to happen in the future. So that's one strategy. Second strategy is see if you qualify for another visa. Okay, once you're in the country that you could change status to. So, for example, if you build up your resume in some particular area, is it possible that you could qualify for an OV visa, for an extraordinary ability visa? Um, are you doing something that may qualify for a national interest waiver, for example? Okay, so I recently just had a client actually who came over on an H-1B visa, um, and we were trying to keep them in the United States somehow. He had not told me that in his past life, basically, he had worked for the United Nations, okay, in a capacity, and that capacity was in terms of low income housing. He had he had actually been on a very important committee. Now that's an issue in the United States that's extremely important right now. Housing is a terrible problem in the United States. So his experience transferred to the ability to get a national interest waiver in the US. And we successfully applied for him for a green card on that basis.
Right.
So you really, really never know, where you can get. You have to be very creative, but you have to start early. That's the key. Okay,
Right.
with everything, with registering for the lottery. Okay, and you know what? I have clients that register for the lottery every single year for year after year after year after year, and in year 5 or 6, they won. They got it. Okay, so it's being persistent. That's
Right.
really the key.
All right. So, Ira, what do you think that as Trump is ruling right now in US, so will this impact companies that rely heavily on H-1B workers because Trump is always America first, and H-1B workers are obviously those are also immigrants. So, what can you say that do they have to face some stricter regulations, or will they find some kind of new opportunities under Trump's administration?
Um, I think I think in and of itself, not much is going to change. I think enforcement's going to change. I think they're going to become stricter as far as enforcement is concerned, and I think that's really the only change we're going to see. And I don't think we're going to see it immediately because I think they're going to be distracted again with quote unquote illegal immigrants for at least for during the first year and probably for the first couple of years of their administration. Um, and remember also, a lot of the money that's behind Donald Trump comes from Silicon Valley, from actors in Silicon Valley. And they don't want to see the H-1B program go away because a lot of their workers come from the H-1B program.
Right. That's a very good point.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. Thank you so much, Ira. And Ira, one more question. This is going to be a last question for today's episode. So, in your view, I would like to know that what should any last message that you would like to share with our, with our applicants who are applying for the H-1B or who has already been working as an H-1B worker? Any last message that you would like to give them by keeping in mind the Trump's administration?
I, the really the last message is make sure everything is up to date. Make sure your company is complying. Make sure they're filing their I-9s. Um, don't worry about pestering HR, okay, because that's what they're there for, okay? And make sure you're always in compliance, okay? Because as I said, there's a case going on now with a third party worker who was brought in by a recruiter, perfectly innocent, okay?
Right.
And they're being basically charged with fraud, and they had no idea what was going on. This is wending its way now through the district court. And I look at the case and I basically say, should they have known? No, but they would have known had they known what was going on, had they asked questions. Always ask questions, okay? Never feel like you're in a position, okay, where you're threatened based on the fact that you don't want to stir things up or you don't want to be a pain in the neck. Be a pain in the neck. It's your right. Okay. Okay. You want to know the I-9 was filed by your employer. You want to know that your visa's properly in place. You want to plan ahead of time. You want to ask questions of your employer. Okay. Am I staying? Are you going to give me notice? Am I? All of these questions are very, very important.
Great. I think it's not a problem if you can be a pain in the neck, right, Ira?
Absolutely.
That's
Absolutely
how
not a
every
problem.
employer should be. They should have that
Yes.
much courage, to ask questions then on there.
And by the way, the same of your lawyer. Uh, um, Whether, no matter who you're using, okay, they have to be responsive to you all the time, all the time. And don't take anybody that tells you it's too complex or it's too this. You want to know exactly what's going on and what your rights are all the time.
Right. All right. So, Ira, thank you so much. And we have almost reached to an hour. And, again, I would like to say that your insights were incredibly valuable. And I think people out there, they will definitely apply your insights. And I think they are very much happy. And we also got so much responses from people, though we couldn't take so much on this episode, but we are surely going to take from next episode. And Ira, thank you so much for your time, for your, even though you lost connection, but still we got you. And that's really, a good spirit, a very happy spirit, I would like to say. So thank you so much, Ira. And thank you so much, everyone who has joined us today. And please contact attorney Ira Katz on the given number in case if you're feeling or navigating any immigration problems, then feel free to contact him on the given number. That is 914-639-6750. I would like to repeat it again, 914-639-6750. And please email him at ira@icatslawoffice.com. I would like to spell it out, IRA at IKATZLAWOFFICES.com. And do visit his website, that is www.icatslawoffices.com. So I think now we have reached the end of our show. So, Ira, it was greatly having you. And, I was so happy with today's episode. And how was your experience? This was the first episode on our channel. So,
I enjoyed it very much. It was a pleasure chatting with you. Thank you for hosting me.
me too, me too. It was a pleasure for us too to have you as a guest. So, all right, thank you so much, Attorney Ira Katz, and thank you so much to all the lovely viewers. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Immigration and Jobs Talk Show. We will be here, and we will definitely bring up more different insights, more different topics for you to understand more about the reality behind H-1B workers and companies. Thank you so much, guys, for everyone joining us. I'm Sam signing off for now.